How's the mindset at this point on the eve of the record's release?
It's pretty good. I mean, we're pretty psyched about the record, and you know, it's like felt like a kind of a real team effort, and you know, second record that we made with Matt, so there's a certain amount of chemistry that's kind of starting to happen. Like, we're really not having to think too much about.
Have you committed yourself to this band yet, or is it still?
I'm in.
You are in. It is official?
I'm in, baby.
Okay.
Pearl Jam's latest disc is 2002's Riot Act.
I know I was born and I know that I'll die. The in-between is mine. I am mine.
Listening to the record, I was reminded just how comforting this band is to know that it is there. More than ever, at this time in history, some of the things that he touches on need to be expressed.
Yeah, I mean, there's some universal themes that he is expressing eloquently, you know, and probably maybe better than he has ever has, you know. It's he did a really fine job with the lyrics this time around.
Well, does it ever cease to amaze you where these nuggets come from?
I've always known that he's been a great storyteller and you know, and like a fairly good poet, but to me, the thing that he's starting to master is the most loving way to approach all those things and all the different kind of angles that he can take on it. He can kind of approach it from a humorous standpoint, and he can approach it from kind of a mystical, magical standpoint, and then he can be very direct, you know, with some things and really kind of lay it out how. So that's I mean, it makes it really fun being in a band, because it's like you're kind of in a band with a guy who can kind of approach things from a lot of different places and sing in some different voices.
It's just a really rare thing to find somebody who's got as much talent as he has and as much musical, you know, quality and charisma.
Just a bunch of riddles. Yeah. I don't know if I'll ever come clean with the answers, you know. I don't know. But there's some stuff to think about, but nothing direct, you know.
The record, I think, is going to be a big thing of support for people. Listen to the words that Eddie has to say.
Yeah.
Support for you guys as well?
I think we were just so pleased when we got done making this record and got to listen to it, and the fact that we're in a band with Ed and get to play music with him, and he writes beautiful words. I think all of us were very excited and are very excited about going out and playing shows. And
definitely. Do you have any favorite lyrics from the record?
Crop Duster keeps being the one that I think about. I just love the imagery in that one. It's beautiful.
I Am Mine a lot. It's very positive.
Pearl Jam has a tongue-in-cheek song in the new disc, Bush League, criticizing President George Bush.
I think some people are going to react to it, you know. I think people that really that react, I think there'll be an equal, and I think a lot of people will really think it's hilarious.
You can't speak for a whole entire country, but at least in your circle of friends, is there an idea that criticizing the government is unpatriotic?
Not amongst my friends.
No. I think it's, that's part of why our democracy works, is that we can criticize the government and not be thrown in jail for it. You know, maybe that sounds a little naive, but you know, in other countries you can't really do that. So I think it's a healthy thing to criticize or question things. It has to be done.
Well, and it's just reminding everybody that, you know, this country was based on a constitution that said that there's freedom of speech. So you could dissent and you could disagree with the government, you know, in office. And I think there were some things that happened maybe right after September 11th that weren't really in line with what our Constitution has professed all these years. You know, it takes, you know, a Noam Chomsky or a Howard Zinn or Ralph Nader to remind everybody, like, hey, wait a minute, like, we're in America, and if you're at a university, you should be able to study the Islamic religion. And there were some universities in the South that were trying to cut those programs, and that's ridiculous. You know, like, you can only start to begin to understand where they're coming from if you can educate yourself with it. And if you are making decisions on against certain things and you don't know anything about it, then you have no business even expressing yourself. So this is all just about continuing, just getting the conversation out there and talking about it, you know. And by no means do we have the answer, or are we trying to talk anybody into anything, but just let's just all talk.
There's probably been individual moments where all of us have kind of went, is this making me happy right now? You know, is this really what I want to be doing? But those moments are, I think they're pretty rare, and they certainly haven't been cropping up recently, at least for me, for sure.
So what keeps you coming back?
Just love of the music and love of each other, and it's kind of a brotherhood in a way, and it's something I always look forward to, even when we're having time off.
I definitely think that I've learned a lot of lessons personally since we started playing music together, and you know, hopefully we're all a little smarter than we were, and we've certainly learned from each other about how to be more in the moment and more less self-conscious, more aware of each other, more open to creative moments happening as opposed to trying to make them happen, you know, letting creative moments happen. You know, that's been a big one for me.
They, at one point, I think, could have been a lot more popular than they were. They made decisions to not tour, to not do videos. You know, those decisions, I think, cost them some fans and probably cost them some money, but, you know, allowed them to stay together as a band. So, you know, I think they're musicians that like playing together. They've been very savvy about what can we do to keep this band together and to keep what's special about this band going. Whether you like their music or not, I think that's something to be admired.
Back in '91, you said you don't know who's watching out for you, but you think there's definitely something out there that's watching out for you, because how else do you explain the grace and the good fortune that's come your way? And I think that statement was said with a sense of wonderment and appreciation, but I'm thinking over 10 years later, is that wonderment still there?
I mean, I was raised Catholic, and so I spent about 10 years from 16 to 28 or whatever where I kind of tore all that down and maybe didn't have a real sense of kind of where I fit in with the universe. And when certain things kind of keep coming your way, or, you know, when certain things happen, then you kind of want to acknowledge it, and you want to make the best out of it. You don't want to screw it up, you know. You want to go like, wow, thanks, you know, like, you know, like I'm gonna, and you want to do it too, because next year it might all go to shit, and you want to have like something to hold on to, you know, like, I mean, if you have 10 years that were really great, then a lot of times you can go back to that for strength, you know.